Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to another training video. In today's video, promises to be very interesting. We're going to be looking at the first part of the Build Your Forex Robots workshop. In this video, we're going to, in this series, we're going to be looking at how to build Forex automation, how to build Forex robots or EA without actually having to code, right? Usually you need to understand programming language, and it's obviously quite difficult for some people, but without having to code, you'll be able to build such very quite useful trade automation for your system. So we'll run through that. This is introductory section. We're not going to be building all of everything today. We're going to begin the process, and there'll be subsequent classes after this. Okay, so remember, you have questions, simply just type in your questions in the chat feature below. Okay. Now, who am I? My name is Nana Obina Alexander. I'm the head educator and the senior market analyst here at ANZO Capital. I've been trading for about 9 years now, and they call me the FX JEDI, right? I used to be the head market analyst at Gemini Capital Market and IV Market. So I'm going to be your host for this training, and most of the other trainings you get from ANZO. Now, what will we be looking at today, right? I like to have a structured course. So we'll begin by looking at, there's going to be a very brief introduction to the Forex markets for those people who are new to trading. So for the beginners, I'm going to just quickly, in about 3 to 5 minutes, go through 1 or 2 slides where I explain what the Forex market is. Remember, if you want to have more detail about, the Forex market, especially if you're a beginner, you want to do well to take part in the trading course. Okay, you can always access that. Reach out to your account manager, or you can reach out to me, and we will get you started on that. And then we'll look at what trade automation is, why is it a popular thing now, and then we'll also see how you can build Forex robots without coding. We'll kind of break it down in a very simple way where it will be very, at least if you don't understand it, I don't know where you learn that again, but it's going to be interesting and it's going to be simple. Okay, now quickly, what is Forex? Well, quite simply, the Forex market, sometimes called the global financial market, is the largest market in the world. Basically, what you want to do is think about it as a marketplace where we're trading currencies against each other, right? Now, I say currencies, but that could be commodities like gold and silver and all of those things, or crude oil. But basically, we are looking to make profit as Forex traders. What we're doing is we're looking to make profit from the fluctuation in price of 2 different commodities or 2 different assets, right? So it could be euro and the dollar, it could be pound and the yen, it could be gold and dollar, it could be oil. So we're basically looking to make profits from the differences in exchange rate. So for instance, if you're over in Ghana, the value of a cedi to, let's say, the dollar, or let's say the value of a cedi to a naira, they don't have the same value. And the value doesn't stay, it's not constant, right? It's always moving. So you can make profit by buying one, and then if it appreciates, you make profit on the difference. So basically, that's what we do as Forex trader. But the difference is we don't have to buy physical assets or physical currencies. We just trade the prices of those using, and that is all possible by means of a Forex broker, ANZO Capital. Okay. Now, the Forex market, or the foreign exchange market, is a global market. It is the largest market in the world. It is decentralized, and it's basically, as Forex traders, we are speculative traders. We speculate on the prices of instruments, of assets. We study price movements. We don't just guess. We look at price movements and make decisions based as to whether we want to buy or sell an asset class. Okay. Now, in terms of the size of the Forex market is actually quite huge. The daily trading volume on the Forex market exceeds over $6.6 trillion. We're looking at about $7 trillion as at current time. So it's huge. And when you compare that to the next largest market, which is the New York Stock Exchange, it dwarfs it by a lot. It dwarfs all the other markets put together, right? So it's huge. And this is an advantage for us because it shows that there's enough volume in the market. That means there's enough liquidity in the market. I'm sure for those of you who are traders in the house, it's possible to make $10,000 in a day. It's possible to make $100 in a day. It's possible to make $100,000 in a day. Now, obviously, that's going to be perspective based based on the size of account you're trading and obviously the risk you're willing to take. But the whole idea is all of those is possible because of the volume in the market, okay? Now, let's jump straight into the actual core concepts for today. Remember, if you're new to trading, if you're a beginner, there's a course, an entire course dedicated to that to help you understand what the Forex market is, how to get involved, how you use ANZO capital, and how to become a profitable trader. Now, to the elephant in the room, trading robots. Why is it important? Now, the point is, we all want to be able to make money and, while we're sleeping, right? For traders, you know that the market is open 24 hours a day, 5.5 days a week. So from Monday to Friday, or from Sunday night to Friday night, the market is open. Now, all through the clock, there are opportunities that we might be looking to take. Now, if you're a trader, you understand that you need to have a system or a strategy. So basically, a strategy is saying, oh, I'm going to look to buy if this and this and this happens. So if, let's say you're an indicator-based trader, you might say, oh, if the market is oversold, if our RSI is at this point, or if that is happening, if this and this happens, I want to buy. If this and this happens, I want to sell. Now, that is your system or your strategy. However, you can't sit in front of your chart 24 hours a day because, well, you have a life and you have, you have things to do. But a robot or a Forex robot can analyze the market based on the parameters you set to it and make trading decisions round the clock. So basically, it doesn't need to do any, it doesn't do any other thing. It's just designed to look at the market based on what you set and make trading decisions based on the parameters you set to it. Now, that's one big advantage of why Forex robots are now quite common, because it helps us to, it augments our life, basically. It helps us to be able to do other things while our defined rules are being monitored. Our market is basically, we're monitoring the market with the use of the EA or the robots. Now, sometimes the EA can be built to just monitor the market and send us a updates. Sometimes it can be used to monitor the market and take trades, execute trades on our behalf once certain conditions are met. So that's one key advantage of the of why robots are popular. The other advantage is the fact that unlike humans, Forex robots do not have emotions, right? There are no emotions in a robot. Basically, for traders in the house, I know you'd all have had this experience where you decided to maybe buy or sell. You're looking at an instrument, you have certain criteria. Let's say you buy bullish candlesticks, let's say bullish engulfing or bullish pin bar, but you're impatient. Instead of you to wait for the candle to close, you want to jump in early, and all of a sudden, you realize that you shouldn't have jumped in. Or let's say you're looking to trade RSI or moving average crossover, and instead of waiting for the indicator to confirm, you're like, I'm going to jump in now because this thing can move without me. I don't want to lose. And then I don't want to miss this opportunity. And then when you jump in, the market does basically goes the other way and the indicator doesn't confirm. And you're there sitting, asking yourself, why did I jump in? Why did I act so rash? Well, a Forex robot would not be rash, basically, because it doesn't have emotions. And that's one reason why basically it's quite popular these days. Now, just because Forex robots can trade around the clock and just because they don't have emotion doesn't mean that they must make you money. It's garbage in, garbage out. Meaning, depending on the logic, if your strategy is profitable and you are able to build a robot that mimics your strategy, then if the market condition stays the same, the robots will be profitable. So just because a robot is a robot and it doesn't sleep, doesn't mean that it will make you money. So for example, if you have a scalping EA or a scalping robot, it will work best in a ranging market. And if you have a trend-based robot, it will work best in a trending market. So a trend-based robot would struggle in a scalping market, condition, and a trend-based EA or robot will struggle in a ranging market condition. So you have to factor all of this in place. Don't worry, it will get easier. Now, the question is, how is it done, right? I'm trying to quickly rush through all of this so that we can jump into actual what we'll do. It's important to have a basically a background to what we're having. Now, when it comes to building Forex robots, there are certain things you need. First, you need a clear strategy. Now, this is not just for Forex robots, it's for everything as regards your trading. If I say how many of us have a clear trading strategy, you'll be surprised at how many people, maybe everybody will say yes. Then if I ask how many people follow that strategy, 100%. Like if they follow the strategy, if they only take trades that meets those criteria, you start finding situations where people would not be able to answer. The truth is, you want to have a clear strategy as to how you enter the markets and why. So basically, if you buy, it's because XYZ meets. And if you sell, it's because ABC meets. You will not buy unless it's XYZ, and you will not sell unless it's ABC. That's what a clear strategy is. Now, there are different types of traders, right? And there's no, I wouldn't come here and sit down and say one is better than the other. There's no, all system can make you money. It's how you apply the system, how you follow the system, and how you manage your trades, right? So for instance, somebody can be and say, oh, I'm a price action trader. I only trade support and resistance, or I only trade order blocks, or I only trade price action candlestick setup, right? That could make you money. But you need to have a clear strategy or a clear system as to how you trade those. So if this and this, let's say if you trade pin bar, you trade price action candlestick, and you see a bullish pin bar, and you say, I only look to buy in an uptrend, and then I only look to buy from a level of support or demand, and then I would only look to buy if I see a bullish candlestick setup like a pin bar or an engulfing bar. Now, those are clear, detailed instructions. So if the market is in an uptrend, you're looking to buy. But if you don't see the other two, no trade is taken. If you see a bullish pin bar and the market is not in an uptrend, you will not buy. So this is what I mean by a clear system. So it's more like baking a cake or making any particular food. What's your favorite food? There's a step-by-step recipe as to how you make it. So let's say you're trying to bake a cake. You might list out the ingredients. So you need eggs, you need butter, you need flour, and sugar and all of those things. Well, if you take all the ingredients and put it inside one pan at the same time, you probably will not get a good cake, or you probably will get something that is not even a cake. But it will have to be the right size of flour, to the right size of sugar, to the right amount of butter and all of those things. You have to put them in the right order and at the right time to get a good result. That's how you should think about trading. You want to apply the systems or your system in the right order to get the results you are looking for. So it's the same thing that quite applies to us. Now, in the past, in order to build Forex robots, you probably need to understand programming. You need to be good at programming, and you should be able to understand and program the MQL5 language, right? And that's the MQL language is the language on which you can build EAs. So you hear me call EAs. EA also stands for expert advisor, which is what you call robots, right? So EAs, you need to understand how to program. But right now, I'll be showing you a method where you don't need to understand programming at all. You just need to be able to use your head to drive your logic, and I'll show you a platform to do that. Now, obviously, everybody here should be trading on ANZO Capital because, well, we provide you top-class education and we provide you wonderful trading platforms. So if you were here at the beginning of the video, you'll see that introductory video about ANZO Capital. We're a pure non-dealing index broker, and our platform, we do our best to support our clients to help them even do well in trading, basically by providing them a swift platform without recruits, no slippages, and all the fancy things. Okay, so if you don't have an account yet, if you've not created an account at ANZO Capital, after this training, reach out to I'm sure one of my colleagues reach out to you. It could be me as myself, either myself or any of my colleagues. Reach out to the one who sent you a message or sent you the link to this video or to this webinar, and then set up your account because that way, that's the only criteria you need to take part in the part 2 of this training, okay, which would be subsequent day. Now, what is the process? So I'll break down the process that I take when I'm looking to build an EA. You can apply it for yourself, and then this way it will make it quite simple for you to progress or to build the EA, help you know exactly where you are and what you're trying to accomplish. Now, let's go through this quickly before we jump over to certain things. Now, when it comes to developing an EE or a robot, defining the trade logic is extremely important, because if you want to get the results that you're, let's say, if you want to get the results that you want, you need to have a clear logic. Now, it's like the chicken before the egg, right? So basically, the most important thing is the logic. It's not just about building a robot. The logic is the most important thing, right? Now, when it comes to trading, right? When it comes to trading, even without robots, right? It's very, very, very important that you have a system, right? And you follow that system. Sorry, let me just put this on silent. Okay, so you have a system and then you follow that system, because if you just trade everything you see, then what will happen is you make money today on the particular system, and then you make money, you lose all of it, you're doing something different, right? So you want to have clear defined trading rules that you follow. Okay. Okay, now the first thing you want to do is define certain things. So you want to define what will be the reason for me buying or for me selling, right? Your goal should be to break down the reason for your strategy. Now, some of you here in the house are price action traders, and some of you are indicator traders. Quick one, so we can interact with ourselves. If you are a price action trader, just type in P for price action. And if you're an indicator trader, just type in I for indicator. So I'll know exactly, basically. Okay, so I'm seeing some results going. So we have some PPP, which is good. And then those are price action, mostly price action traders. And I'm sure there's some I's, and I'm sure there are some hybrids. So some people who probably use a combination of both. That's also part of it. Okay, so we have some price action traders, mostly price action traders actually, and we have some indicator traders. Okay, that's fine. Now, for example, let's say price action traders. Now, price action traders, they might either use structure in the market or use candlestick formations. Now, think about it, right? If you trade price action, and let's say you trade candlestick formation like bullish pin bar or bearish pin bar or bullish engulfing or bearish engulfing, you are looking for certain things. So you're looking for a pin bar, and if you find a pin bar, you now look to trade it. So the pin bar, let's say you find a bullish pin bar from a level of support, that's your criteria for buying. A bullish pin bar in a level of resistance does not constitute buying opportunity, right? So basically you have rules, even though you don't write it down. What I would advise you to do is lay down your rules for buying or selling, right? Now, once you define what will trigger your buying or selling action, you've gotten point one. So point one is what will be the reason for buying or selling. Now, once you have that sorted out, so what will be the reason for buying or selling? So let me just get my pen so I can draw on my screen. Okay, so you have to define point one, which is what would be the reason for buying or selling, or for buying or selling action. Point two then would be, how do you enter trade based on your system? Now back to the price action trader. No, so let's say you're a price action type trader and you're looking to buy from a level of support, right? Now, as price approaches that level, now let's say the overall direction in this market is bullish, and then you're looking at this level, and as price approaches that level, you decide to start looking for opportunities to buy, right? Now you see a pin bar, right? Let's assume that this is a bullish pin bar. So let's say that's a bullish pin bar. Now this is the reason why this is your point one, right? That is what will look to trigger your buying or selling action. Now point two is, how do you enter this trade based on your system? Now, some of you would say at the close of this candle, I'll place a buy, right? Others will say at the close of this candle, I'll place a pending order, let's say halfway through the candle, right? Now, whichever system you trade, obviously it's based on your own back testing. Before you decide on a system, you should have looked at the chart and back tested and decided on, okay, this works in this market condition and I'll look to trade it. Now, that is your entry criteria. You just defined your entry criteria. The next point will be, how do I exit the market? Right? Because you're not going to hold on to the trade forever. You only make money when you close the trade. So you say, okay, so how do I exit? Now, there are two types of exits. The exit when you're correct, that's when you're right, and the exit when you're wrong. If you're right, that's called your take profit. And if you're wrong, that's called your stop loss. Now, still based on the price action trader, you might be looking to place your stop loss below here, right? And you might be looking to place your target, let's say at the previous high, something like that. Now, you have seen that what you've just done here is you've defined your reason for entering the market. You've defined how you enter the market, so how you would enter the market. You've also defined how you would exit the market, both for profit and for loss. And then the fourth point, which is optional, will be how you manage the trade. So trade management is now where you start doing things like trail stopping and all of those things. But basically, this is the process. You want to define this clear logic. Once you're able to define the system or your trading style in clear logic, it will now be easier for you to then program that and EE around that, okay? Now, so like I mentioned at the beginning, this is going to be a workshop, basically. So it's going to be a series of training. During the lifetime of this training, we're going to be building two different types of EA, because remember, there are two different types of traders. So there are the types of traders that trade with indicators. There are also the type of traders that trade with price action. So we'll just build very simple EAs, incorporating the indicator and also incorporating price action, so that you can then decide to build something based on your own strategy. Now, remember, this training is not about creating a robot or giving you a robot to trade. It's about helping you to see how you can build your own robot for your strategy. So you have to have a strategy, and then you have to try to build a robot to do exactly that on your behalf. Okay. By the way, so far so good. Are we enjoying the class? Are we following? Is it making sense? You could just quickly type in a yes, so I know that everybody's enjoying the class and we're being carried along. So now we'll jump over to the next phase, where we would actually begin the process to start building. Okay. Okay, so yeah, lots of responses coming in. So we have yes, yes, yes. So it seems everybody's enjoying the class, which is always good to see. So lots of yeses. Thank you. Now let's jump over to the next session. Now let me just move over to my my browser. Okay, so still some yes coming in. Good, good. Now there's something I always tend to do, especially when I'm looking to build any EE. Now, what I do is I try to detail out what I would need and then break down the flow of what I'm trying to do, because that way it will be easier for me to build my robot. So think about it like you're trying to build a skyscraper or you're trying to build a house. What you do most of the time is you get an architect. The architect will draw the plan for the house, every single detail, and then the builder will use the architectural plan to build the house. Imagine trying to build a house and you say, oh, I just want a 2-story terrace duplex. I want it to have 7 bedrooms, and I want it to have 5 parking space for 5 cars, and maybe a pool at the back. No plan. You just tell the builder, just build, you know. At the end of the day, you have a house that will fall or collapse because there's no plan. They might lay blocks and then get to this point and like, oh, when they are now trying to build the swimming pool, they realize that, oh, they've covered the area that is supposed to. So what the architectural plan does for you is it gives you a blueprint to follow while you're building the house, right? And that's important. It will help you, it will make your work easier and also help you to save time and money. Now, in this same case, using that same analogy, I always tend to like to break down the strategy. Now, the system we're going to be using, we're going to be looking to build a simple moving average crossover strategy. A moving average crossover strategy takes into consideration the fact that, you know, we're going to be using the moving average as our decision maker, right? I'm going to show you an example of what that looks like. So actually, let's do that first. Now, I'm sure most of you should know what a moving average is. You can see it on the chart here, is this red and blue line, right? It is an indicator, right? It's an indicator that you can add to your charts on the MT4 or on the MT5. It's an indicator you can add to your charts. And then it trails price. So as price is moving, let me do this. So as price is moving, it would basically trail price and move with price. And what you notice over time is when price is in an uptrend, it tends to do a certain thing, and when price is in a downtrend, it tends to do a certain thing. So let's just look at this, for instance. Now I'm going to just let's just look at here. Now in this particular instance, I hope everybody can see my screen. You can see the moving averages. There are two of them. One of them is the red one, the other one is the blue one, right? You can see the lines. There are these lines that is following price. Let's see, let me make this bar chart. So just so that we can see it clearer. The moving averages are these red and blue lines that are following the price, right? Now, basically, based on this system, we notice that when the market is in an uptrend, the moving average stay below price, right? So you can see when the market is moving upwards, right? You can see that the moving average tends to stay below price. And when the market is in a downtrend, the moving average stay above price, right? So basically, in an uptrend, it stays below price. In a downtrend, it stays above price. Now, remember, building a system, a successful trading robot is about having a system that you trade. So now imagine we're saying to ourselves, okay, I would like to build a robot or an EA that takes into consideration the moving average and trades based on the moving average. Now, another thing to also note is the fact that, well, in this particular instance, just before, okay, so let me look at this here, right? So let me get my rectangle to look at this area here, right? That's area, that just that box there, just around that box there, right? You can see that, first of all, the blue moving average or the blue line was above the red one, right? The blue line was above the red one. And at some point, the red one now came above the blue one. Now, that's what we call a moving average crossover, right? So when the one of the moving average or the slow moving average crosses above the fast moving average, that's a crossover. Now, in this particular example here, the blue one is a 20-period exponential moving average, and the red one is a 10-period exponential moving average. Everybody should, especially the traders in the house, understand what I'm saying. Now, at this point where there's crossover, you notice that when the market goes from an uptrend to a downtrend, the moving average crosses over. So we're trying to use that as the reason for making decision as to whether we want to buy or sell. So the market was coming down, and then we had this red line or the red moving average, that is 10-period moving average, cross above the blue. So what we want to do is we want to use that as a reason for buying, right? We want to use that as a reason for buying. Now, if we go back to our slide here, we said, what would trigger our buying or selling action, right? So what triggers our buying or selling action? In this case, our buying or selling action is triggered by the crossover of the moving average. We look to buy when the 10-period moving average cross above the 20-period moving average, right? And then we look to sell when the 10-period moving average crosses below the 20-period moving average. You can see it here, somewhere here, that the red one, which was above, now suddenly crossed below, and you can see price began to drop. So at this point, you should understand exactly what we are trying to accomplish, right? In terms of with the moving average and why we are doing what we are doing. The next point now would be, so how do we decide on when to enter? Well, I'm going to make this back. Let's make it back. Let's make it back to normal candlesticks so that we can see it better. Where's that? Candles, okay. Now we want to use, so let's say we want to use the close of the candle. That means we're not going to use the moving average to decide when we enter. Just because the moving average has crossed over doesn't mean we will look to buy or sell. We want to wait for the moving average to cross over when the candle has closed. So for instance, at the close of the candle, at which point the moving average crossed over, we would look to buy, right? When the red crosses above the blue, at the candle that closes that, we will look to buy. Let me use this line. So let's use our line again. So in this particular instance, at the close of this candle, we would buy. So that's where we'll buy. And then what do we put our stop loss? Now, just for this particular purpose, we will put our stop loss 30 pips below, and we'll target 60 pips above. So we'll be doing a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Right now, remember, this is just for basically for educational purpose. It's not about whether this system will make you money. Yes, it should if in the right market condition, but it's about showing you how to build a system. Yeah, we're applying this to the 1-hour chart, right? Now we'll buy at the close of the candle, we'll put our stop loss 30 pips below, and we'll take our profits at 60 pips to the other side. Now, which is the reason why I have this documentation here. So you can see, what do I require? Requirement, I require 2 EA. So EMA stands for exponential moving average. So 10-period moving average, which I would call fast, and 20-period moving average, which I will sometimes call slow. The time frame we'll apply it on will be on the 1-hour chart. Now, the logic, we look to buy, right? We only look to buy when the 10-period moving average crosses above the 20-period moving average, right? And then we'll look to sell when the 10-period moving average crosses below the 20-period moving average. Now, once a trade is taken, if the trade we place our stop loss 20 pips away from our entry, that means let's make it 30 pips. So we'll place our stop loss 30 pips away from our entry, and our take profits 60 pips away, right? Now, so if we are buying, our stop loss will be 30 pips below our entry price, and our take profits will be 60 pips above our entry price. If we're selling, our stop loss would be 30 pips above our entry price, and our take profits will be 60 pips below our entry price, right? Now, in this particular, for today's class, we're going to actually build an EA that will do just that. But then in the next class, we will optimize that EA to even capture more profits, okay? I hope that makes sense. Now, that's our, basically, our architectural detail. But one thing I always tend to do is also build flow charts. I always like to build flow charts for my EEs. Now, because we're building a very simple EE, it's not that complex. Now, when we start to build complex EEs with complex moving parts, if you're looking to build EEs that have lots of moving parts, it will be quite important for you to have a flow chart, so that, because you might not be able to sit down and build it all at one day. You might need to come back to it at certain times so you know exactly what you were trying to accomplish in the first place. So this is what we're going to be looking to do. This is what we're going to be trying to get a robot to do for us, right? First thing, we want to check, right, if there are any open trades, right? Now, it's important because we don't just want our EE to just be taking trades indiscriminately. So if there's an open trade from the EA, it's want to check that. Now, if there's an open trade, in this instance, we want to do nothing. Now, in subsequent training videos, I'll show you, we would look to manage our open positions. But for now, if there's an open trade, the robot will do nothing. Now, if there's no open trade, now here's what I mean. If already there's a buy trade here, remember, the robot is sitting down watching the charts at every single second of every single day, right? What it's checking is, it's checking, in this particular instance, it's checking two things: the moving average, the 10-period moving average, and the 20-period moving average. It is just constantly asking itself, is the 10-period moving average above or below? Is it above or below? That means at every single point in time, it's going to be getting feedback. But we don't want it to be taking trade at every single point in time, especially if there's already an open trade, right? So let's say we already have a buy trade here. At the close of this candle, here, I don't know if you can see it, but let me use this. So at the close of this candle here, let me make that red. Right? At the close of this candle here, the robot would also check to see if the 20-period moving average has crossed above the 10-period moving average. Now, if the answer is yes, right? Now, remember, it is looking at when it is crossing above, not if it is above or below. If it has crossed above, right? So at the point of crossing. Now, obviously, the answer here will be no, right? The answer here will be no. But let's assume the answer is yes. If we're not checking the fact that there's a previous open trade, it would also be looking to buy here. But what we don't want to do is for it to buy here and then buy here and then buy here and then buy here or something like that, which is why we wanted to check if it already has an open position based on the EA logic, which is why we have this. If there are open trades, if the answer is yes, it will do nothing. But if the answer is no, then it will check the moving average, the 10-period moving average and the 20-period moving average, and check if, so it will say, is the 10-period moving average is it crossing above the 20 period moving average? If the answer is yes, it will look to buy, it will open a buy position at the close of that candle. If the answer is no, it will check, is the 10 period moving average, has it crossed above the 20? Has it crossed below the 20? If the answer then is yes, it will look to sell at the close of that candle. So I hope it's making sense now, right? And remember, you'd also be able to get access to the recording of this class to rewatch it if you need to watch it multiple times. Okay, so that's exactly what we are trying to accomplish. That's what we're going to try to build our EA to basically do, right? Now, the question then is, so how do we build this EA? Mr. Obina, you said we'll be able to build it without coding. I don't understand programming, I know. Well, don't worry. What we're going to be using is something called the FX Dreamer. Now, the FX Dreamer is a web-based platform. So it's fxdreamer.com. It's a web-based platform that enables you to be able to build Forex robots without coding. Now, obviously, you need to be able to understand logic. And now it's not ANZO's platform. It's a platform that you can access online. You have to pay for it though. You have to pay for it to be able to use it, at least to download your project. But then you need to understand how to use it, which is why this training is very important. So this is what the platform looks like. As you can see on if you look to my left here, you'd see different, different parameters, let me call it like that we can use. I'll show you how to use them. Over the course of this training, you'd even get more familiar with them. And you'd see how we build. So this big area here is our workspace. This is where we'll be working from. And this area here are the variables, things that we'll be using to build our EA. Now, the beautiful thing about the FX Dreamer is you can build you can build EAs for both MT5 and MT4. So you just need to select the platform you're looking to build. For this training, we'll be building based on the MT4. You can do the same exact thing also for the MT5. All you need to do is just go to projects, go to new projects, select the MT5 and start building. Now, once you can see, so let me see. So new projects like so. Then you select expert advisor. If you want to build on the MT5, MT4, you select Metal Trader 4. If you want to build on the MT5, you select Metal Trader 5. You name your project and then you save, right? And then once you create it, it will have a plain background like we have here on the screen. Now, what do you do? Now, this is where this is now the building flow, and we'll be interfacing it with our architectural plan, right? So we'll be going between our architectural plan and our building flow. Now, first thing we want to do is check if there are any open trades, right? Are there any open positions? How do we do that on the FX Dreamer? Now, if you come down to on the FX Dreamer, so you can see conditions. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for this check trading condition, right? So check trading condition and order count. So check trades and order count. Now, down here, you will see no trades, right? So you see there, no trades. Yes, I'll do that afterwards. So you'd see no trades. So if you click on no trades, we drag this. It's just a simple drag and drop. So click on no trades, we'll drag it and we'll drop it here, right? Now, once you drop so you bring in a function. So these are functions. But you bring in a function, you can modify those functions, some features of the functions. If I double click on this, it will open up. You can also right click and select. So you right click and where's that? Right click on the actual stuff and select the information. Okay, but basically, no, that's not it. Just double click on it. I think it should take you to be easier. So just double click on it. It will open up the basically the details that you can modify. Now, so what this means is you're saying no trades, right? If there are no trades, you can select if there are no buy trades or if there are no sell trades, right? But what we'll do is we want to select if there are no trades, either buy or sell trades, right? So we don't need to modify anything here, so just leave it as it is. Now, if there are no trades, what do we want to do? We want to check the moving averages. Now, remember, there are two conditions. There's a condition for buying and there's a condition for selling, which is why we'll build two conditions, both for buying and selling. So I'll just drag conditions. So I'll just drag here and drop, and you can right click on it, edit title. So I'll call it buy condition. So this is the condition for buying, right? And then we'll double click on it to open up. Now, what are we trying to do? Now we go back to our blueprint. We're looking to buy if the 10-period exponential moving average cross above the 20-period exponential moving average. How do we do that here? Well, the beautiful thing about the FX Dreamer, it gives you lots of things to play around. Now, here you see indicator. It can also be candles. It can also be indicator, market properties, object on the chart, lots of things. But we're dealing with indicator, right? Now, in indicators, there are different types of indicators. You can see alligator, oscillator, bull power, Henry candle, MACD, but we're looking at moving average. So we select moving average. Now, moving average period, we are looking at the 10-period moving average. Now, there's a small checkbox by the side here. If you tick that box, it will mean that you can edit this. Like when you launch your code, when you launch your expert advisor on your MT4, you can modify this particular parameter. So we'll check that. Now, what type of moving average are we looking at here, right? What type of moving average are we looking at here? We're looking for the exponential moving average. So we'll go to exponential. Now, remember, the recording of this class will be made available. So if you miss any part, you can always get access to it. And then under more settings, what you want to do is click on it. And then under candle ID, you want to tick, make this 1. Now, what does candle ID 1 means? Now, let me go back here and go to current price, right? So if you come back here and come to current price. Now, at each point in the charts, right, especially based on the time frame. So since we're on the 1-hour chart, this current candle, that is currently ongoing, is candle ID 1. Like it's candle ID 0, basically. So the candle before it is candle ID 1. So this will be candle ID 1, this will be candle ID 2, this will be candle ID 3. So current candle is candle ID 0. This one is candle ID 1, and this one is candle ID 2, and like that, like that, like that. So what we want to look at is candle ID 1. The question then is why? Remember, we want to look to buy when the moving average crossover. So let me take this particular area, for instance. The question, let me zoom in. Let me zoom in even further. The question is, where did the crossover happen? Now I'm going to draw on my screen so we can see. Now you can see here that point there. That is where the crossover happened, where the red moving average crosses above the blue moving average. For our system here, that means we should be looking to buy. Well, what do we buy? What candle? You know, remember, this would happen at the close of this candle. So that means at the point this candle opens, that means this other candle here, let me make this color different. When this candle here opens, right, and this one has closed, remember this is candle ID 0 and this is candle ID 1. So the EA will check candle ID 1 and say, immediately at the close of this candle and this one starts to say, has the moving average, has the red one crossed above the blue? If the answer is yes, then it will execute a buy not at this point, it will execute a buy at this point. That means at the close of this candle, right? So which is, that's the reason why we are looking for using candle ID 1, right? Because candle ID 1 is the candle that just closed, okay? So we're looking at, as the moving average, we're looking to do what the 10-period exponential moving average, considering the candle ID 1. Has it crossed over? Remember, back to our blueprint, if the 10 EMA crosses above the 20, so we go back, there's a function here where we compare. So basically what we are doing is we are comparing the left-hand side to the right-hand side. So we are saying, has the 10-period exponential moving average crossed greater, that's what X greater than means crosses above, right? So has it crossed above what? The 20-period, so we'll check that box, exponential moving average. Remember, look at this, we're applying this to the close price. It's very important, not to the open price, the close price. And we'll also make this candle ID 1, okay? So basically, what we just did is we said, we compared 10-period moving average, the 10-period exponential moving average, factoring the close price of the just concluded candle, has it crossed above the 20-period exponential moving average of just concluded candle, right? So it's comparing the 10-period moving average to the 20-period moving average. So once we're done, we click on updates, right? So what we've just done now is we have set up the condition for the buy condition. So let's do that for the sell condition. So if you missed while I was doing that for the buy conditions, look how we do it for the sell condition. So we go to condition and formula, we drag out condition, right? So we'll drag it and drop it here. And then we edit it, this, and I'll call this sell condition. Now, what you call it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't really matter. I'm just doing it so it's easy for you to see what we are trying to do. Now, we are done with the buy condition. What you do is you drag this, just drag from the bottom there to the top here, and then double click on this one so that we can modify the parameters. Now, what are we trying to do? What is the condition for selling? Well, if the 10-period moving average crosses below the 20-period moving average, then we want to sell, right? So if the 10-period moving average crosses below the 20-period moving average, we want to sell. Now, you know what I'll do instead? Let's finish with the buy conditions and then we'll come back to the sell conditions. I'll just close this. Now, remember what we did is we check no trade. If there are no trades, we set the buy condition. What is the buy condition? We check that the 10-period exponential moving average has crossed above the 20-period exponential moving average. If that condition is met, what do we want to do? We want to buy, right? Because that's what our strategy says. So you come down to here that says buy and sell and just select buy now, right? Now we've selected buy now. What you want to do is double click on it and set the, so this is where you can now set what is the lot size that it will use. You can now set what is the stop loss and the take profit. So you can see fixed volume. We have it at 0.1. Let's leave it at that. Stop loss mode, fixed pips. We'll leave it at that. And let's make this 30 pips, right? So if our stop loss will be 30 pips away from our entry, and our take profit to be 60 pips away from our entry, right? Now, we'll leave this just the way it is. We don't need to modify it. Let's probably check this. No need. Let's check this too. So maybe we can modify it later. And then once we're done, we click on updates, right? And then just drag from the bottom here to this one. And then what we've just done is we've completed the buy leg, right? So if there are no trades, it will check for the buy condition. If the buy condition is met, it will buy. Now let's do for the sell condition, so the sell side. If there are no trade, it checks for the buy condition, and the buy condition, is not met. It will now go on to check for the sell condition, right? So let's set the sell condition. What's the sell condition? It is if the 10-period moving average cross below the 20-period moving average. So we go back to our FX Dreamer. So we're going to make this 10. Right? We'll check that. Make sure we're looking at the exponential moving average, the close price, and then we'll look at candle ID 1. If the sell condition is if the 10-period moving average cross below, so we're going to take X less than 20-period exponential moving average, and we'll also make sure we're looking at candle ID 1. Right? So basically what we just did now is we set the condition. If the 10-period moving average crosses below the 20-period moving average, that's the condition for selling. So we click on updates, we drag it from here to here as well, and then we pick our sell now. Okay. Now we also modify what we want to do. So we are going to sell, our stop loss will be 30 pips, and our take profit would be 60 pips. Okay. And then we click on updates. Okay, so we click on updates, and this is connected to that. And believe it or not, you've just built your first Forex robots. So all of you are programmers. You've just built your first robots. Okay. Now, it's interesting also. It's now see how we didn't need to do any coding. No coding whatsoever is required in what we just did. Now, what you can do after you're done with your EA is you can download it. So to download, what you want to do is download the mq.mq4 file, right? So this is it here, .mq4. So if you click on it, it will bring up the download window. So let's just do that. So we'll just download it, save it somewhere on our computer. And that's it. So once it's downloaded, we should be able to go and test it. So we're going to test it now. We'll go to our MT4 and we'll test it together. Okay. So it has completed the download. I heard the sound. So let's go over to get it. Don't worry. At the end of this class, you should be able to. I think I'm going to set up a Telegram channel so that you can also join in, and I might probably I'll send out the EA so you can go and test it for yourself. Okay. Now, so we've downloaded it. It has downloaded to our computer. So what we'll do is we'll open up our MetaTrader 4, which we'll use to test it. So this is our MT4. Now you know what? Let me close all of this so that we can start from fresh. So we close that. And so we have a demo here. Now, some of you might not know how to do this, but on your navigator window here, you have something called Expert Advisor, right? You have Expert Advisor. And that's where you should, all the EAs on your what do you call it? Your computer, at least for the MT4, you want to have them so that you can use them, okay? Now, how do you get your EA into this folder? What you want to do is go to where you downloaded it. So I'm just going to go to my downloads. That's it. So this is what we just downloaded. You can see it is Forex class 17th of March. So this is m.mp4. So I'll just cut. You can copy, but I don't need this. I'll just cut it. Right. So what you want to paste it into the data folder of your MT4. Right. So I'm just going to, I've cut it. So I'll just minimize. Now you go back to your MT4. What you want to do is go to File. So File, under File. Right. So File. Go to Open Data Folder. So click on that. And once that comes up, so you open Data Folder. And then you want to scroll to MQ4, right? So MQL4, click on MQL4. Now, if this is on your MT5, you click on MQL5, go to Experts, and then just paste. So Control P. I've copied it. So I'm just going to Control Paste it, right? It tells me that I already have, so let's replace it. I've pasted it. You can see it is now on our data folder. So Forex Robot class 17th of March. Now, so what you do is you come back to your MT4, you right click on this area and refresh so that it can show up. So you right click and you refresh and it shows up. So now if we scroll down, we should see our robot, what did we call it again? I think it's robot class 17th of March. That's it there. So how do we test it, right? Now what you want to do is get the strategy tester. Yeah, it will work without the VPS on your MT4. What the VPS does for you is it helps you to put the robots running 24 hours, which is very important. If you want to run your robot, you definitely want to do that on the VPS. So now we want to back test what we've just built. Now remember, the goal of what I'm showing you here is not that this robot will make you money, right? It's not about the robot. It's about you see how we're able to build a robot for a system. Now, so what we'll do is, if you don't know how to bring up the strategy tester window, just go to View. So View here, then click on Strategy Tester. It will bring up the Strategy Tester window, okay? So what we are going to do now is, we are going to, under here, Expert Advisor, so we'll select our EA, which is Robot Class 17th of March, so that's it. Click Enter. We'll select the instrument we want to look at it on. So let's use it on Euro USD. The time period, we're going to use it on the 1 hour chart. You can select any particular time frame. Let's leave that the way it is. Then we're going to test it from the 1st of January 2022. We'll see how it runs. We're going to move our visual modes to the extreme here. So move it down to the end so that it will show us a visual. Now, if you click on Expert Properties here, and then you go to inputs. Okay, no, this is, I think I need to, let me drag this up a little. I think this is still testing for the old one. Let's see. I need to stop what was previously testing. Okay. Now, okay, we're good now, we're good. So we'll make sure, I want to be sure that there's no mistakes. So robot class 17th of March, that's correct. Euro USD, and then, so let's reduce this a little so we can have more room. to see the chart. Okay, and then yeah, we're good to go. So we can click on start, right? So what I'm going to do now is, let me pause this. So what we're going to do now is, I thought I put this one on silent. Sorry about that. Okay, so let me include the indicator so that we can see exactly what is going on. So I'm just going to put in insert. Let's insert our indicators, trend, moving average, 20 period, blue. And then let's, no, that's wrong. Let's delete that. We don't want this one. So let me just take this. I wanted to add moving average. I added it wrong. So insert, indicator, trend, and then moving average. Okay, so what's going on? Why is he adding MFI? Okay, so let's make this money flow index. How is why is it picking money flow index instead of moving average? Okay. Anyway, I'm just going to move on. I wanted to put the both moving average so you can see what's happening when it crosses. What's going on here? It's supposed to. I don't know why it's okay. You know what? Let me add it this other way. Let's add it like this, moving average. Okay, yeah, so this should work now. So we have the 20 period moving average, and let's add the 10 period moving average. We'll make this one red. Okay. And then, so we have both moving averages on our screen. So now I'm going to continue the back test. So you see what happens and how it picks it straight. Okay. So I'm just going to click on continue. Now let me pause this. It already picked the trade. Now, can you see what's going on here? You could see that it's a sell. I don't know if you guys can see this thing clearly because this is a sell trade. It executed the sell based on the lot size report. You can see where our SL is. Can you see that? Our stop loss should be down. Our take profit should be down below. And why did it sell? Remember, we told you to sell when the red moving average crosses below the blue, and tell it to buy when the blue crosses or where the red crosses above. So you can see we had that crossover here, which is why it sold here and put the stop loss 30 pips away. Now let's measure that. No, not save. Let's measure that. Okay, so let me bring my crosshair to and go from here and drag it up. You can see that that's 30 pips, right? So our stop loss is 30 pips away. That means our take profit will be 60 pips below, right? We didn't have to do anything. We just built it and set up the logic and plug it into the system. Now, what does this one happen to do? Does it make a loss or a profit? Now, remember one more thing. Just because you have now, obviously, if just because you have a trade started by an EA, you can manually close it if you like. However, if you have your system, you want to trust your system. So meaning what I mean is you can close it manually if you like at any point. You could move your stop loss at any point. But if you want to be physically consistent, you want to trust your system, win or lose. You need to have rules to manage it. So for instance, this is where management comes into play. You might decide to say, okay, if the market has moved at least up to 1%, 50% of my risk, let's say, if I move 30 pips in my favor, move my stop loss to break even or something like that. You can also build it into the system. Okay, so let's continue playing and see what happens. So that one ended up being a loss. Now let's go to the graph window. You could see it's a loss. It took another trade, a sell, which ended up being a profit. So you see, it took another buy, loss, took another buy, another loss, and took another. So basically, it's essentially doing what we asked it to do. That's the main point here. The main point that it's doing exactly what we wanted to do. You can see, even though we've lost more than we made, we're still, we have lost more trades than we won. We're still up because of our better risk to reward ratio, right? So you can see how it's executing those trades for us based on the criteria that we set. And that's essentially how we, we've built our first robot, and you can all have access to this. You can rewatch this training and backtest it for yourself. And, hopefully during the lifetime of this course, what we'll do in the next phase of this class is we'll optimize this particular system, right? So since it's a trend-based EA, we're going to optimize it to follow the trend and capture more wins when we are right, and less when we're wrong. We want to be a little bit wrong, and when we're right, we want to be very, very right. So that's basically what we'll do. And then you can see that there are some loopholes in this thing. So for instance, it's supposed to take some sells here or take some buys here, but it's just closing. And we'll see how we fix that up in the next class or in the next training. But so far, so good. I think we've actually achieved quite a lot today. In today's class, we've been able to build our first EA. We've also been able to test it together, and we'll see how it's working for us. And then we'll look to optimize this same EA from our next class and see how that would make us, how we can even make it even better. Okay. So remember, the goal of this is not about giving you an EA. It's about showing you how to build trade automation for yourself. Okay. So I think at this junction, we'll be rounding off our class, and I'm sure you have questions. You want to type in your questions in the chat box, and I'll see how we would answer them together.